Hi, this is Kendra from Pencil and Pigment, and today is my video where I show all the art supplies I used up in 1 year. So it takes me an entire year to make one of these videos. I try to do it as late as possible in the year, but I have other videos coming up that I need to get out before January hits. So this is going to be 10 days early. So just go with me on a couple of the items that are not completely filled. It's just one sketchbook, but 10 days left and it'll be filled. So I thought I would start with January and surfaces, and we'll go all the way through the year, and then I will show you all the supplies, okay? So January, A6 Lecterm. This is a 2021 product that they discontinued. I will throw up the A6 size. This is colored pencil. The theme was extinction, a lot of dinosaurs, a lot of things. Yeah. This was January. It was a 48 page, but went into January. This was February. This was something I started a previous year and didn't finish. This is a piano hinge binding with kitchen skewers. I know, a lot of fun. This is from my Strathmore 500 series of mixed media paper. I bound it in as many weird and wonderful ways as I could figure out that lay flat, in order to figure out which lay flat binding I like the most. This was watercolor, a little bit of fine liner, and some washi tape. And I finished this in February. This I did, okay, so this was polychromos, 95% Faber-Castell polychromos with like 5% Caran d'Ache luminance colored pencils. This was Hoodrum Aquarelle watercolors, the 36 set in a pan. Okay, a lot of birds, a lot of botanicals. That's February. March, this is the Midori MD paper notebook, blank page with a clear plastic cover. I beat my sketchbooks up and then I store them for a long time. So anytime they have like a cover option, I'm going to choose it, not because I'm a particularly huge fan of the plastic aesthetic, but I like stuff protected. So this I did with the Richson Soft Hand Rolled Pastels. These are just all portraits. Yeah, this was the 40 set of landscape. I don't do a lot of landscapes, so I did my favorite subject matter, which is portraits. And if you want to see any of these, I will link my sketchbook tour playlist, and you can go through that. And that was what March looked like. We're gonna call this April. This is what Lecterm sells now. This is the 150 GSM. This is their yellow. It's sort of a landscape. I did landscapes. This was from a book. I will throw up the cover of the book. I was trying to figure out what landscapes I enjoyed doing. This is Caran d'Ache's Neo Color 2 with Pentel Vistage watercolor sticks. They're not great. Don't get excited about hearing about a new product. But what I did with my Rotring Isograph is I made notes. Like, I gave it a 3 out of 5. I like Rolling Hills with Field. Use more reds. I don't know why. House in a Field. Love the bright pink red combo. 4 out of 5, all mediums. So what I did was I essentially turned this into a reference book. Sea and Sky 2 out of 5 doesn't work. Not repeating, creating again. So I can go back to this because I'm not fluent or familiar with landscapes, but I want to do more of them. So I created a reference book, this one. So this is something that I will pick up and use again over these where I was just, can I use a landscape pastel set that I never use for something I genuinely enjoy, which is portraits, because people are stunning. Okay. We get to May. This is a Kokio. This is their 60th anniversary. This was a limited time anniversary product. This is the Koala Level Book, and this is another, it's my illustrated garden journal. This is also like 95% Faber-Castell polychromos with like a 5% Caran d'Ache luminance. And basically I wrote down, here is the oh, sorry, the Rotring Isograph technical pen. So it's kind of mixed media, and I have notes for everything we planted in our garden in May and June. So I need to go back through and add more notes as to what it looks like in the winter months and what got too much sun, what might need to be moved. Some of these things blew up and got crazy excited, and some of them just didn't grow hardly at all. So this is another reference garden book that my husband and I can both use, and this was a really fun use of this sketchbook. I I'm using it as a sketchbook. It's a level book. I think they're for like engineers, or any book can be a sketchbook if you sketch in it. That's my argument and I'm sticking with it. Okay, this is June. This is an A4 Lecterm, 1917. This is another one from 2021. I don't think they have this color anymore. This is the 180 GSM, May, June. Okay, so it was a couple months because these are huge pages. Again, this was very mixed media. So, and I only create on one side of the page in case I want to scan or do something with something. Again, I have like inks in here. This is Ferris wheel press. I have pastels in here. I have pen and ink. I have colored pencils. This is a stilt. Dude, these birds have the best legs. Like if you're gonna draw a bird on a huge page. I can't, I love birds so much. Okay, so anyway, I had a lot of fun with some of these. But yeah, and like painted on graphite. Like I just got really, really weird with it. I don't even know if you can see this. This is a neon pilot pen, but this is an A4 I filled. And I filled 2 of these this year. So that was a lot of fun for May and June. This guy is in here because he was only half filled from one project. So I did, and this is like a Gen G recycled newsprint paper thing I bought on Etsy. I know, it was very unique. And I did like a stop motion charcoal 1 year, but the second half of it was empty. And so I took my Pentel brush pen that's refillable and I have platinum ink, and I did portraits to fill the rest of it. Obviously it bleeds through, it's newsprint, but with some of these pages having like additional interesting ink things from her projects, it felt kind of like an interesting collaboration. I don't know. It was just a lot of fun to fill this sketchbook with ink portraits. So this was a sketchbook I completely filled up. So started it a previous year, filled it this year. Yeah, so here I have a charcoal stop motion March 2023, ink portraits June 2025. So I have notes directly on the thing. And here's her card, Gen G Studios. So it's a lot of fun. Okay, this is part of, I'm gonna call this part of July. Okay, so what this was left over from a Copic sketchbook that I had bought in 2018, and I thought I used it all up. I did not. I also don't Copic marker. So this is Birds and Boats, June 2025, and I used Uniball Signo in gold. This is like a DMC metallic, it's like metallic wrapped polyester embroidery, and it's like that 4-stab binding from China. And I did boats for the first time in my life. And birds, because if you're gonna sneak in an epic animal, sneak in some birds. So yeah, I enjoyed boats. Boats are cool. Also used up a lot of this high flow pen. But I use a lot of this pen every single year. I think I used 4 golds of this Uniball Signo last year, so we'll see how many I used up this year. But yeah, this was just a chunk from a sketchbook, and I ripped it out and rebound it the other direction and tried something new. So I enjoyed boats. I'd like to do a little bit more of that next year. July was World Watercolor Month. Welcome to a branch from a tree in our backyard. And I did watercolor trees with ink birds. So I watercolored all the tree things, and I don't know, I like the juxtaposition of the tree and the ink. So I did like a baobab tree from Africa with an African vulture. Like I tried to keep some of these like accurate to the trees they could be found in. But this was a ton of fun for World Watercolor Month. And again, I was pruning low-hanging branches. I live in a forest. Our branches, if they fall, are really bad. So this was something I found on a tutorial on Instagram, kind of, and I bound a stick around it to go with the aesthetic of July. So this was the second watercolor. The first watercolor was February, again, where I did birds and botanicals, and then July with birds and botanicals. I'm trying to keep these a little bit in order of the months I did them in, just to keep track, but this is gonna be a trick and a half because we're not done yet. I filled a lot of sketchbooks this year. I was very busy. Okay, here's the second A4 Lecterm 1917, again in this color that's no longer exists. I do not show you this to give you like FOMO, like fear of missing out. I do not show you this to give you like scarcity mentality and trigger you into buying all the things or looking on eBay trying to find discontinued products. I'm just showing you that I overspent in 2021 and now I'm using up, finally, all the products I had. So for August, I did Dogist, where I drew a dog every single day or painted. This was acrylic paint. And I did different dogs through 2 different prompt lists for 2025 and then for the prompt list in 2024. And I used a variety of mediums. So this is very much mixed media with ink and all the things. It was a lot of fun doing this. And there's our dog on the front cover because she's wonderful. So I built 2 of these. A4 is a little large. It's a little large. I have difficulty like filling the whole page, especially if I'm trying to do something like hyper realistic. And the amount of time, I think the longest one was 3.5 hours of this. Oh, there's a siren coming. Hold on a sec. All right, sorry about that. Shout out to our first responders. We thank you for responding. We adore you. So some of these I did better at filling the entire page. This was silver Uniball Signo. If you want to like look up any one specific drawing from either this video or looking through my playlist, you can go on my Instagram and it's kind of my daily accountability, my like picture, my picture vlog, I don't know, sort of just, I try to write down like how long it took to do a thing. I did one realistic eye. When you get weird with it, when you do the same subject matter for like 50 days in a row, like this is like a 0.3 technical pen. So it gets very scratchy and I don't know, I really like the texture of a really fine pen trying to do like a huge page. It just, you have to account for that time. I just really like try the weird things. And then I tried to write down, like this is Pilot pen. The Canon. Okay, so yeah, some of these have how long it took me to do the thing, some of them don't. Again, I think the longest illustration this year has been 3.5 hours. And I would love to say I took a break in the middle of that, but I've met me, I probably didn't. Just probably drew all the way through. This is September. These were 2 large sheets of 20 by 30 paper. And I saddle stitched them. This was the very first time I've done saddle stitching. And this is Canford paper, Canford Imperial, Dollar Rowney. This is Dreadnought Gray, and this is my favorite. It is Mocha. Absolutely gorgeous. If I could find more of this paper, I would absolutely buy my own sketchbooks to have this dark brown, rich, beautiful color. But I did Fruit, it's colored pencil, and a little bit of hand lettering. I don't do a ton of hand lettering. I'm not good at it. I do faux calligraphy. I kind of draw the outline and color it in. It's a cheat. But that's how I do it. So this one was colored pencils and fruit, which I have never anthropomorphized fruit like this or done jam jars. The whole thing was new and that was fun. And then this one, because dark brown's the most beautiful color ever. You can't change my mind. I did the Pentel brush pen that's refillable, and I did gold gouache splattered on these portraits of stunning folks. I don't know if you can see the gold. It's something that kind of you need to hit the light right and then see it in person. But I know people go light on dark paper. I was just leaning into the dark brown. So, portraits, September. This was a ton of fun. Yeah, I would love to do this again for 2028. I know, you're thinking far ahead. I have to. October, I did Drawloween. I did 1 watercolor for the whole month. This was spooky themed. I watercolored things I have never watercolored before. I tried to do more like landscape. I tried to fill the page. Again, this is from my Strathmore 500 series, my roll. This is a Copic binding. It's not good, but I do the things, even the hard things, and I just stick with it. Yeah, this was a lot of fun doing stuff I've never done before. UFO. Can you tell that was the theme? Anyway, so yeah, this was hard. This was really hard because a lot of this stuff I've never done, and so trying to do a thing I can't watercolor hands. I need practice, folks. I need practice. That's what it comes down to. Because if you're not good at a thing and you don't know how to do a thing, you gotta keep doing it. So this was really, really good. Doing October like spooky challenges forces me to get out of my, let's do animals or portraits. It gets me out of that into something else. So I'm proud to say I have watercolored things in here that I've never watercolored before. And it was an excellent challenge that I enjoyed. So this is about 7 by 8 inches. And this was a lot of fun. Okay. November, this is again the 60th anniversary Kokio. This is their offset book. It flips open. I did portraits. I don't even know if you can see these. I have pages falling out. It's a hot mess. Here's the end papers. Maybe you can see the end papers better. I don't know. There's like 3 different illustrations on here. So there's 2 different people. I have a dark green, a pastel green, and then a neon orange. I have a hand or a foot. So these were really, really quick sketches to get me working and thinking about figure drawing again, because that's not a thing I do a lot of. And I realized doing this challenge, I'm not good at dancer bodies or bodybuilder bodies. Like those aren't a thing I have practice with. So this is something I need to revisit in another sketchbook later. I need to keep coming back to this because I just need way more practice. But I filled the thing. I did the stuff, okay? Now, December, again, just stay with me on this because it's not quite filled because we're not quite done. So for January, I did extinction and in colored pencil and all the animals that had gone extinct. For December, I am doing preservation, conservation. And these are all the animals that we know that we've been able to save. And again, this is like 95% Faber-Castell Polychromos and like 5% Caran d'Ache Luminance. And that's because those are the colored pencils I own. So you can see with my bookmark, like 10 days left. And then I'll do the end paper and the front cover. And I will do a sketchbook tour for this the first weekend in January, in case you want to see what this looks like. All filled out, but you can see I've been working hard. Okay, so when we lay this all out, all the sketchbooks I filled, and I'm kind of going to go by size just so you can see. The smaller ones are going to get lost in the shuffle, but I want you to understand like the sheer amount of paper surfaces I filled up. And the reason I want you to understand this is because when I go to show you the mediums I used up to fill all these sketchbooks, you're going to be like, that's it. I'm going to be like, that's it. So look at all these sketchbooks, okay? All of them. Keep in mind there's 2 of these. A couple of these were half filled, and then these were just like single sheets of paper. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 sketchbooks for 2025. Are you ready to see the mediums that it took? And the reason I showed you the inside of every single one and talked about the art supply is because I wanted you to see that I was cycling through different products. I did neo-color too. I did pastels. I did watercolor and ink. I did mixed media. Like I didn't just do a ton of pens like I did in 2024. I will link 2024's Empties video because it was primarily just a Midori Hibino daily diary, which is 700 pages, plus 2 tiny sketchbooks. And in doing that, I went through like over 40 pens, and that was kind of a lot. Here is 15 sketchbooks. Let me get my Empties jar. As soon as I figure out where okay, hold on. Let me grab it real quick. I set it off to the side and it was too far off. Okay. All right. You're like, what is all that? I'll show you. I didn't save the whole bottle. These are 3 things of spray fixative. So these are for soft pastels, and I did 44 portraits of soft pastel, plus some dogs, plus some other random things. So I did a lot of pastels this year. I probably did 50 pastel drawings, and I went through a bottle and a half, and I just pull off the labels. And here's one for pencils and charcoal. And this one was half full too. So some years, like it doesn't look like a lot, but you've used like 75% of a product, and then the next year everything becomes empty all at once. So it's kind of strange showing you a thing, but I wanted to explain that like one of these was partially full, this was partially full. So 3 things of spray fixative. 2 colored pencils. I'm not done with him. He is going to go with me through the end of December. This is the pale gray 10%. It has taken me 5 years to use one of these up. In contrast, here's my black. I will probably be using the black up all next year. It takes me 3 years to go through one black colored pencil, and that has to do with how often I colored pencil. So I do about 75 colored pencil illustrations a year. Not a lot of background work, but heavy detail on realism, and that's how long it takes me to go through. So if you work large, or you only do colored pencil, or you only do 10 drawings a year, you could also go through 3 of these a year. It really depends on how large you work, how often you work, and what supplies you cycle through. Okay, so 2 colored pencils, and again, I'm pulling him out because I'm not done. He still has a fine tip on him. Okay, 2 eraser caps. I know, it's crazy. Here is Liquitex Heavy Body Acrylic. This is, I think, titanium white. It is all done. Like, I can't get any more out of him if I tried. This was something I used as like a 1 ounce pipette, but he is cracked. I've had him for 4 or 5 years, and he doesn't store water anymore because he has too many cracks in him from constantly squeezing, and plastic just wears out. So when I go to rehydrate my pans, this is something I typically use for tubes a lot, but rehydrating my pans to get the pigment loosened up on my watercolor, I was using this one, and he's all done. So now I'm just using a pipette from my kids' science projects, and I use this to refill refillable pens too. I use it for a lot of things. Okay, this, gosh, okay. These are from, like, what are those? When your plastic needs more plastic. We'll talk more on that in the next year. But this is from this guy. He is a mono zero, like 2.3 millimeter eraser. And this is how much eraser I have left. And it's like the plastic bit holds the eraser in, leverage-wise. So for going back through and creating like a highlight in some of my illustrations, especially in charcoal, it's really nice. I used up 2 of these this year, and almost a third, but that will be in next year's video. And then let me pull these out. 4 Bic pens for journaling and taking notes for videos. So I journal every single evening. It's an A5 Moleskine 400 expanded blank page. I have a whole video on the benefits of journaling for artists and like all the different things you can get out of just journaling and how therapeutic it is. And when you take care of your mental health helps you take care of your creative health. So your inspiration and your motivation to want to keep creating. So yeah, I had some things to say this year. Also, I write tiny. Okay, so this is just journaling. You're like, what pens did you actually use up? Remember those boats? Most of these are from the boats. I used up 5 Uniball Signo, gold, 1 silver. So this is more than last year. And I bought 6 in June, and they were pretty much all used up in June. I need to find a better solution for these because this is just a ton of plastic. And I know I said that last year too. I need an opaque ink that I can use my glass dip pen with, preferably in a glass jar, so I stop all this plastic nonsense. As for pens, for drawing, here's 4 Pilot pens I used up. Here's a Tombow, this is 565, and I used up both wells, the brush side and the fine tip bullet point side. Here's a pin type Posca. This is the 0.7. This is the tiniest Posca tip they make. And I use this primarily for doing covers of my sketchbooks. So this is Extinct, and this was done with Posca. And this is a brush pen. This is the Pentel brush pen, and I take these apart and I put inks in them. So this is the one that was pink. I will not be buying pink ink. I don't think, oh God, all that rhymed. Probably not for a while. I don't know. I don't know that I have a lot of bright pink left. If I do, it'll be glass. So I'm saving this because this is reusable and the brush portion is still in really, really good shape. I don't even know if you could see that. Maybe if I hold it over white, there's a good contrast. So this will be obviously pulled out and it's been cleaned up so I can put other ink in here. This is all the art supplies I used up to fill 15 sketchbooks, and these were just for a journal and a half. But because I consider journaling a huge proponent in my motivation for wanting to create, I keep this supply in here, okay? But this is it. 3 things of spray fixative, 1 tube of acrylic paint. I had 2 colored pencils in here somewhere. Here's one, here's the other one. Couple eraser caps, and then these are all the pens. So for October, when I did nothing but black ink for my watercolor Drawloween challenge, I only used up half a tube. Can you see that? That was half a tube of watercolor. It's 7x8. This is Lunar Black by Daniel Smith. It's highly granulated. So I still have a ton of this left. Like, we're good. And I don't know if I'm going to do another black challenge. Like, all the gold gouache you see sprinkled on all my pages, I still have a quarter of this Holbein Brilliant Gold left. I'll probably buy more in June. But this is it. This is it. And I watercolored for 90 days in the year. So, and I didn't even use up 1 whole pan or 1 whole tube of anything. I cycled through my supplies as evenly as I could. There is no used up pastel. There is no used up charcoal in here. There's no used up Neocolor 2 or watercolor stick or watercolor pencil. Like, there's none of that. So when I use my supplies of the different categories as evenly as I can, I hardly use up anything. Even though I filled 15 sketchbooks and 2 of them were A4, which is a little bit larger than a US letter size. So you don't need as many supplies as you think you do. unless you work huge. If you are working on huge canvases, you're buying big bulk things. You're buying huge tubes and tubs of things if you're doing big old canvases. And then it depends, because some people work on a huge canvas like that for like a month or 2. So you could still only have 4 or 5 tubes or tubs at the end of the year that you've used up. It's just not as much as you think, which is absolutely wild, because how hard these companies push their limited supply things, their brand new collection of whatever, of curated by this person, or a special tin or a special package or an anniversary product, like however they choose to push a new idea or a repackaging of an old idea. You just don't need all of them because it's really hard to use them up. It just is. And this is a reflection of that, of creating 365 days and journaling. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this is a really good reminder of using our things up before we buy new, of maybe inspiring you to try a low-buy art supply or a no-buy art supply. I will link those playlists in the description box below. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful week. I hope you've had an absolutely productive year, and I will talk to you later. Bye.